This video is brought to you by Knowledge at the Australian School of Business. For more information, please visit knowledge.asb.unsw.edu.au.
The Australian Securities and Investment Commission is to adopt technology developed by Professor Mike Aitken at the Australian School of Business. It really highlights how research developed at the University of New South Wales can have a practical outcome. Now, Professor Mike Aitken is with me. Can you explain to me, Mike, how does this actually work?
Sure. Basically, we're looking at trying to identify prohibited trading behaviours on the Australian marketplace. So typically, prohibited trading behaviours would be insider trading, market manipulation, and front running, that is standing in front of a client's order. So what we try and do is we try and build algorithms to identify these types of things. So for example, insider trading, how do we go about, it's not easy to identify an insider trader, but what we have to do is we have to build clues, if you like, as to whether there might be an insider trader working in the marketplace. So the way we do this is we identify price-sensitive announcements, and then we look for unusual price and volume movements in the lead up to those announcements, indicating that the information has leaked to the marketplace. We call it an information leakage metric, and a subset of those instances will be insiders. It may not be insiders, it may be other people working off the basis of insider trading, but ultimately it's all inappropriate behaviour because that information should not be leaking to the marketplace before it's actually formally released. So what we're doing is trying to identify those sorts of instances.
But equally, is it possible that the technology can trip over if there's an innocent explanation, like the broker genuinely decides it's a pretty good bet, they think there's a good announcement coming out, so it may look like front running, where they buy shares in advance, assuming that there's going to be some good announcement?
So it's always possible for a party to go to a court and argue idiosyncratic behaviour. So one of the things we try and do is we build patterns of alerts. We look at this thing over multiple periods of time, so that we, you know, if a person's got away with it once and they get away with it a second time, they're probably going to do it a third and a fourth time. And it's when they do it those third and fourth times that we tend to get them. And of course, it's very hard to argue idiosyncratic behaviour if indeed it's happened on more than one occasion.
And this is computer technology, we're talking about it's software. So how can it learn, if you like, from say somebody who's done a little bit of inside trading, they've got somebody who may work for a company and feeds them a bit of information before an announcement. How can it learn that that behaviour actually sort of seems to be a little bit suspect?
Well, we have a number of ways of doing this. I mean, one way is to actually look at past cases and try and identify the sort of type of behaviour that convicted insider traders have literally been convicted of, and see if we can find that type of behaviour in markets. So that type of sort of pattern, if you like. But mostly what we do is we look for these patterns, providing information back to the regulator, who then goes and finds out who's actually been trading. And then they will know, based on their name, whether they're an insider or not.
Now, you've got a company that's really selling this to the marketplace. There's obviously a link between academia and business. How did you initially come up with the idea?
I did an initial consulting job for the Australian Securities Commission, the Australian Stock Exchange, in trying to evaluate their surveillance systems back in about 1989. And in the process of doing that, decided that it could be done probably a better way. They, at the time, argued that it couldn't, that it was a good idea in theory but not very practical, and so therefore that established a challenge for me to actually prove that we, meaning academia, could actually provide something that was a practical use.
And how difficult is it to actually get that real-time data in terms of all the data coming in terms of share prices and announcement, and then coordinating it with a bit of software?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a data management issue, and it's becoming one of the biggest issues. So the three key underlying disciplines that we take note of at the university are data management, data mining, and data visualization. So data management is essentially how many transactions a second can we process, and we, like you said, need to process millions of transactions a second, so we have to build systems that are capable of doing that. And in fact, we believe systems that are capable of handling 10 million transactions a second are going to be necessary within the next 2 or 3 years. So it's really important to be at the university to find people who've got the sort of the cutting edge technologies that might be able to address these sorts of things, these sorts of issues.
And you're at the university, so how do students get involved?
Well, I mean, they get involved through the postgraduate program. We take students all the way from second year. We identify them in second year and then take them into the postgraduate program and take them through a PhD while they're learning, if you like, the theory of surveillance. And as part of that process, these students get a $50,000 a year tax-free scholarship, nearly twice what the average scholarship is in the university, in order to attract the best possible people, or effectively to stop finance people going into industry, I guess. And we also offer them very attractive international travel opportunities. 2 of our students are currently based in Paris 6 months of the year. 4 are based in London, 4 are based in Toronto. So what they do is they spend 6 months with us learning the theory of surveillance, and then 6 months on site, if you like, learning the practical aspects of surveillance.
But is there a difficulty in then retaining them once they've got all this knowledge about how to actually look at some of the suspicious behaviour, how to implement the technology that they've taken the advantage of the cash that's on offer, they've then taken the advantage of the travel. What's to stop them then being poached by a broker?
Nothing actually, apart from the fact that we offer them, we have to, like any other business, offer them stock in our company to keep them with the company. So many of the staff and students at the university are now sharing in the benefits of this by basically holding stock in the company, the same way as the university does.
And I understand your company has also become one of Australia's leading exporters. It's actually bringing in cash from outside, from overseas, into the country.
Indeed. I mean, it's a pity for us that there's only one stock exchange and one regulator in Australia, so it's very difficult for us to sell to more than that many. So most of our marketplace is the international community, and indeed our first 3 sales were the Russian Central Bank and into the Interbank Currency Exchange in Moscow. So such is the nature of this business that we're international from day one. And 98% of our income is secured from, or is export income, and that's why in last year we won the New South Wales Premier's Overall Export Award and the Prime Minister's ICT Exporter of the Year Award.
Mike Aitken from the Australian School of Business, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
For more business news and analysis from Knowledge at the Australian School of Business, please visit knowledge.asb.unsw.edu.au.